welcome to Again But Softer with me, your host, Sienna. This is a podcast created specifically for women. Perhaps you've survived some madness in your life and now you're ready to begin the intentional work of closing those challenging chapters. This space is dedicated to exploring how we can choose to start all over again. We will focus on what it means to be softer on yourself, your family, and in every other aspect of your life. A total, wholesome reset done gently. Let's embrace the choice to leave the weight of the past behind and begin again, but softly. Hey there! Today we are going to talk about something, a feeling I think a lot of us know. It's this subtle but really profound feeling like you are in a constant battle to, find something intentional or some intentional peace actually. So let's just start with the feeling first. Let's see if this resonates with you. You wake up and before your eyes are even fully open, your shoulders are already creeping up to your ears. It's like this immediate unconscious tension, right? Like you're already bracing for impact even before the day starts. Or maybe for you, it's this one, the clenched jaw. The feeling like you're literally trying to hold the world together with your teeth. It's this physical sign like you're trying to keep it all under control even when you're doing something as simple as standing at the sink. And all of that just leads to total exhaustion, doesn't it? I mean, it's 7 a.m. maybe and you're already bone tired. It's this burnout that hits you before you even have your coffee or tea. Because the truth is, the fight started way before you even woke up, and this is where we get to this really powerful, this central idea. Now, this sentence, it might sting a little at first, but it's so freeing. We like to call ourselves warriors, right? Like it's this badge of honor, like we're strong women, resilient moms, unshakable friends. But what if all that strength wasn't sovereignty, but a state you've been stuck on, like a state of survival? Are you a warrior or are you just at war? Because the distinction changes everything, doesn't it? How you use your energy, your time, even your mental health. The mission today in this deep dive is to really unpack that. To look at the mechanics behind being always on and those really quiet signs that maybe you're running on stress and not strength, and hopefully, gently but hopefully find that gentle shift back. So let's dig into that, the myth of the warrior woman. The word warrior, it is beautiful, isn't it? It's this noble, brave or enduring word, and we get to wear it like a badge. And you say, I'm a warrior mom, or I fight for my people, or I never give up. And yes, there's truth in that. You have fought and you have protected and you have risen to crisis, and that's something that's so real. But here's the key thing we need to know. Warrior isn't meant to be like a permanent identity or a permanent setting. It's a role, a super specialized, very energy intensive role meant for crisis and only for crisis, for defense and for a very specific reason. The danger comes when we forget to stand down. When the crisis ends, maybe it was last year or last week, and if that high alert state becomes our default, if it stays on, that becomes the baseline for your whole life. What does this mean? Let's get technical for a second. If you're stuck in high alert, what's happening in your body? What systems are running the show? So technically, that's your sympathetic nervous system, the SNS. It's a network of nerves that help your body activate the fight or flight response. It goes on overdrive, and in a real crisis, that is amazing. It's super fast, effective, and the energy goes to your muscles. Your brain focuses only on the threat, and digestion slows down. And all of that is good for your survival. The problem is when it stays on even a little bit longer than it should, then we start mistaking hypervigilance for intuition, or sheer exhaustion is labeled as dedication. Burnout as well is labeled as devotion to the job, to the cause, or to the family. Think about it. Really think about it. When was the last time you rested without guilt? When did you last cancel a plan, not because you were sick, but because your soul whispered, not today? When did, quote unquote, I'm fine, become your reflex even when you weren't? A warrior stands in the breach so others can live in peace. But what if you never got to step back into that peace? What if you built the sanctuary for everyone else but forgot to actually walk inside yourself? And that means you're still standing guard outside. Ancient wisdom says it best. It says, and I quote, "The warrior's greatest victory isn't winning the battle. It's knowing when the war is over and having the courage to actually put the sword down." Because if you never put it down, you're basically sacrificing yourself to a permanent state of emergency. That means you're stuck. So let's get practical. There are 5 quiet signs that you're actually operating on chronic stress and not living on grounded strength. Number 1, your body is always braced. What does this mean? Neck and shoulder tension, creeping up towards your ears, shallow breathing, that low hum of dread in your chest, like an engine idling, even at rest. It's like your body is always bracing for impact, which just never arrives. Number 2, you apologize for needing space. And we touched on this before. But if your self-worth is entangled with output, then rest feels like you're being lazy or selfish, as if rest is a luxury and not a requirement, as if saying, I need to recharge, is not sacred. Number 3, you feel relief only when things are done, never while they're unfolding. The actual process, the creating or solving of the problems, or the flow of it is just replaced by this tense need for it to just be over. Again, your worth in this case is tied to output, not to just quote unquote being. And we all know somebody like that, someone who only feels good after checking the boxes to complete a task. Number 4, you equate softness with weakness. This feels more like a cultural alignment of sorts because it is about the emotional armor we build ourselves. You've trained yourself, and society has also trained us to always be fine or okay or handling it. And the idea of being tender or vulnerable or open, or even just admitting that something is hard, feels like a strategic mistake, like you're letting your guard down. And number 5, you choose duty over joy. This is when you're led by duty, like if duty is always the driver, so you lose touch with your own internal cues for happiness or for delight. So when was the last time you actually did something purely because it made your heart sigh with delight? not because it was productive or required or needed by someone else, but just pure delight. I need you to actually ask yourself that, because if you get the answer to that, then you will understand that none of all these things, none of the 5 things we've just mentioned, means that you failed. It only means that you've been incredibly adaptive. Your nervous system did what it had to keep you safe. But survival isn't the same as living. And safety, that is the absence of strength, isn't the same as freedom. In this case, freedom being the presence of choice. So, how do we start to shift? How do we stand down without just quitting life? This isn't about being passive. The goal here is reclaiming rhythm and becoming more precise and more intentional with our energy. We can actually draw inspiration from the Eastern martial arts philosophy, like the kunoichi we spoke of last episode, specifically the non-violent strategy. Remember, she didn't win through brute force. She won by strategic refusal and incredible efficiency. This was refusal to waste energy on battles that weren't hers to fight, or refusal to metaphorically bleed where it wasn't sacred ground. She was choosing when and where to engage. The idea of refusal sets up a beautiful 3-step practice for us. Number 1, the 3-breath reset. It sounds simple, I know, maybe too simple, but the mechanism is physiologically profound for interrupting that stress cycle. Here it is. Before you respond to an email or a request or a demand, just pause. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold gently for 2, and then breathe out slowly for 6 counts. The long exhale is like hitting the emergency brake instantly to ask yourself the critical question: is this mine to carry, or am I just borrowing weight that isn't mine? And you'd probably be shocked about how often the answer is no, not today. That pause, that break, gives you the space to choose and to separate real threat from borrowed stress. Number 2, reframe quote-unquote strength through language. And what do we mean by this? We know that words shape our reality and language rewires the nervous system. So we need to change our internal script. Change the narrative or the language of failure and relentless obligation with the language of humanity, the language of care. For example, instead of telling yourself, "Oh, I'm so tired," tell yourself, "I'm tender right now." How does this change things? See, tenderness implies the state that needs care, support, gentleness, and not just more grit or pushing through. It honors the feeling without judgment. Another example is saying, "I'm not falling apart," which sounds like chaos or defeat. In place of that, tell yourself, "I'm coming back together slowly." Now, this reframes the breakdown as a form of repair. It acknowledges the need for slowness, which the concept of hustle denies. And in this case, it honors your humanity. And number 3, building your peace infrastructure. Now, this is about knowing that peace isn't the absence of noise or problems. It is the presence of choice that you actively build into your day, into your environment. Remember, warriors need bases, some small altars of calm, not huge changes, but tiny pockets of peace, micro breaks. We'll call them the micro breaks, where you're in control and not reacting. Things like 10 minutes with tea and no phone, no screen, just sitting, or a walk outside without headphones, no podcasts, no music, just your feet on the earth, sort of like grounding yourself. Or maybe, and this is one of the more powerful ones, instead of automatically saying yes to every request, saying, let me think about that and get back to you. Now, this buys you that moment of choice, that ability to choose your response instead of just reacting on autopilot. That is the foundation of moving from war to wisdom. You're taking back the right to set your own pace. Now, today, the core message is that the warrior role was quite useful, maybe quite essential for a time, but it's not who you are permanently. You get to be wise now, and you get to be well. You get permission to go home to yourself. And this idea that softness or slowness or sensitivity, the things that warriors might dismiss, they are not weaknesses. They are actually your strategic advantage, especially in a world that has largely forgotten how to even access that parasympathetic state, that calm restorative mode. Remember, you are never the battlefield. You are the sanctuary. So here is my invitation today, maybe sometime today. Just pause, put your hand on your heart, and whisper just once, the war is over, I choose peace. Just notice how that feels. That intentional choice can start to rewire things. It definitely will not fix everything, but it will start to shift something. And maybe a final thought. We tend to equate intensity with importance and output with usefulness, like being busy means you're more valuable. What is the most productive or the most useful thing you could do today to actually stop trying so hard to be unbroken and just allow yourself to be unclenched? What if the world actually needs you calm more than your intensity right now? Think about what real strength looks like when it's defined not by enduring endless stress, but by having the presence of choice, the choice to rest. Remember, you don't have to be on fire to be on fuse. So go gently, rest easy, choose peace, and sometimes that's enough to begin again, but softer. If this landed for you, share it with a woman who's so strong that she's forgotten how to rest. Leave a voice note on the podcast page and tell me, where do you feel the war in your body? Subscribe if you haven't, because this is a space that grows with you and not at you. Till next time.